Welcome everyone to the second of our sessions on the Masterclass for our district on marketing our clubs. Tonight's speaker is Beth Ramsey. She was a professional level member of the National Speaker Association for several years before discovering how awesome Toastmasters is when she joined in 2011. Beth is finishing up the paperwork for her third Distinguished Toastmaster achievement and currently served as Region 1 advisor until June 30th. Beth lives in District 84, which covers central to North Florida. When not volunteering, she runs a horse and large dog rescue on her farm. Please welcome Beth Ramsey as she shares ideas on bringing the energy to the process of a rockin' open house.
A rockin' open house. Hello, my friends. Hello. I'm so glad y'all could be here. I love open houses if they're done right. That's like anything. I like anything if it's done right, correctly. All right. How many have been to an open house that was not done well? Anybody? Yeah. Okay. And you leave there going, what a missed opportunity. Oh my gosh. So we're not going to have that issue. We're not going to do that. Now, here's the thing. Everybody knows that Talk Up Toastmasters is going on right now. It is February and March. So if you have some events or something going on, hopefully it's something I say this evening will inspire you to go, oh, I didn't know that, or, oh, I forgot that, and you're not going to in your event. Also, beat the clock. Don't forget that. That's May and June. So that's coming up. If it's a little late now to do an open house, just schedule one for May, and then you can go rocking all the way. An open house is, if we look at it as what it is, it's event planning. And if someone wants to learn a skill of event planning, this is the perfect opportunity. Open houses are so much fun if they're done correctly. Now, the first thing I want to share is, and it may sound stupid to say this, but let's make sure that everybody, and this is for you to share with your team, understands the purpose of an open house. Now, that sounds silly, doesn't it? Of course, we know what that, no, some people don't, and they lose focus. So one, it's a fun and celebratory meeting. Two, is to tell more about Toastmasters to members of the public who come and visit. Three, is to show a Toastmaster meeting in action. That is the purpose and function behind an open house. Now, though, here's one truth that will never change, and that is that a successful open house requires a fair amount of proper prior preparation. With proper prior preparation comes a good performance and not a poor performance. You like my alliteration? All right, so marketing is imperative. Now, some districts will allow clubs to hook into the connections and engage the district public relations manager. Hopefully your club has a public relations vice president. Some clubs don't, but if you do, hopefully your PR vice president will hook into the PRM for a bigger reach. And of course, you know, you want to do the flyers, the posters, the emails. If you have a mailing list, hopefully you're keeping past guests, past members, because that doesn't mean that they're going away forever. It might have been the answer was just not now, or now is not a good time. Doesn't mean they won't come back. So keep inviting the same people until they tell you to stop. Okay, keep them on your list. Also, any kind of social media that you can do, the typical meetups and the Facebooks and the LinkedIns, Eventbrites. And at the end, I will give you a link to some digital templates that I found from another district that look really good. And if you can take their templates, and they welcomed them, they're out in the public, and use them to your advantage, they're really well done. So I'll give you that link later. But here's something to make sure that you have and get ready in your preparation. and this sounds silly again, this sounds silly to say, but I have been to an open house where they forgot the applications. Make sure that you have applications. And as we talked last night, Mary spoke about, growing clubs and having the applications. And then she even mentioned about filling them out as much as you possibly can to make it easier. Put your club name and your club address. And especially, it was mentioned last night that if you're the sponsor, who said that? Was that you, Deborah? Somebody, oh, okay, it was Louise. Louise said that, if it's you sponsoring and you're talking to this person, by golly, you put your name on that sponsor list. I like that, man. Get that good stuff. So make sure that you have the applications filled out as much as you can. And if you're doing this on virtual only, or you're doing this as a hybrid, make sure that you have application links ready to go that work. Because I found that in Zoom, Word documents don't upload. At least they don't for me, but PDFs do. So make sure that you have applications and things in fillable PDFs or whatever you need to do to make sure and test that out ahead of time. Make sure that all that works. The other thing is to make sure that the roles of your hosts are clear, and that your hosts, which I'm not talking about functionaries for the meeting, I'm talking about the person who will greet people, the person who will take guests and move them around if you're in person, introduce them, and make sure that everybody understands what their job is. So put somebody grumpy on the front door, put somebody nice and sparkly and welcoming on the front door, and then that person hands off to another member. It needs to be seamless. Think about when you go to someone's home for a dinner party. You don't want to be left standing around not knowing who to talk to, right? Same thing with guests, especially coming to a Toastmasters meeting. They might feel kind of a fish out of water. They might be by themselves. Just make sure that they have somebody moving them around and showing them what to do. With all of your roles, you want to make sure that you do a rehearsal or a run through first, making sure everybody passes off. It needs to be a well-oiled machine, especially if it's virtual, and even more so if it's hybrid. People are clamoring to get back in person. So if you could at least do hybrid, if not in person, just know that around the world, what is happening is people are growing and the clubs are growing where more are meeting in person. So we are on the upswing, which is good. Things are coming back to normal. Let's see, rehearsals, run-throughs, and here's the thing, the whole theme for the event. Don't be boring. You cannot be boring. All the people cannot be boring. You cannot be low energy. You can't be all stilted. You've got to have some finesse and energy, and people want to go where the energy is. They don't want to go to a graveyard unless they're really into Halloween, but you know what I mean. So make sure that there's some energy and smiles and welcome. The testimonials would be good too. If on your agenda, you would have 2 or 3 members, real short, 1 minute to 2 minute testimonials about how Toastmasters changed their life, whether at work. It would be great if somebody could talk about how they got a promotion at work, or maybe English was a second language and now they can speak much more clearly and much more confidently, or somebody who, something happened in their personal life. It'd be great to do that. Just have maybe 2, 3, 4 members, but really short success stories. Could be either a separate piece on your agenda, or one of them could be a speech. So if you have a couple of speakers, one of them could incorporate the "here's how my life was changed by being here amongst all these wonderful people" story. So that would be good. Something else to not forget is to make sure that you have sufficient question and answer time. Oftentimes I've been to open houses where they're just kind of running, and they stuff too many things. It's like stuffing 10 pounds of flour in a 5-pound sack. You don't want to do that. Leave time for networking. If you have food or drink or something that people can get that. You also want to make sure you have Q&A time because people will have questions. If they have questions, that's super. That means they're interested. Boom. That person is a hot lead, a hot prospect. So make sure you give them time for that. Also, here's something to make sure that you tell the guests what to do next. If you are interested in getting more information, I have Mary and Nancy are over here and they're ready to take your questions. If you have further questions, if you are ready to join us, then we have Mike and Julie at this table over here and they can get you started on your Toastmaster journey. So tell them what to do. And my suggestion is you tell them one thing at a time. Don't tell them you need to come in and then you get your application and then you need to sign it and then you need to give it to Judy and then you need, no. People don't get that. Give them one thing at a time. Okay, so be sure to do that. Are you going to have music? If you have music, that would be great, especially during the opening time or the closing time when people are milling around and chit-chatting and networking and visiting one another. Music is kind of nice. Something a little upbeat would be nice, not too loud. If you're going to have food, plan that. And make sure it's all set up before your guests arrive. The worst thing in the world is if you've ever walked into any event and they're still setting up, you have one shot at a first impression. That's not the one you want to give them, right? Okay, so make sure everything is set up. That's the planning. How about a theme? Do you want to have a theme? You could have a theme. I went to an open house. Actually, I had it was my home club in another city that we had a Derby, Kentucky Derby theme. The lady who was organizing it, the member who was organizing it, her father was a jockey in his young days. So she brought a pair of his boots, pictures of him on racehorses and his saddle. And I got to tell you, that saddle and those boots were like they were teeny tiny because, jockeys have to be tiny. But I brought some horse tack and things, a bridle and things. And we set all that up along with our club awards. We had some awards and trophies and things that we had won, any kind of speech contest winners. You just put all that out there. Also, you want to make sure that you capture guests' contact name and contact information right at the door. Just do it right there, and that way you have them. And then you send people on. All right. Virtual best practices. If you've ever done, who has done a virtual open house? Anybody? Okay, Louise has. Yeah, I haven't either. So, but I would imagine, and Louise, please correct me. But I think that would be about the same. You still have to plan. You still have to have the roles. A rehearsal would be a super good idea. That it would be the same. And my suggestion too is that you have your Zoom moderator who is experienced. You want somebody who can just, oh, you need a breakout room. Okay, you need this, you need that. Have somebody who this is not their first time and this is not the place for somebody to practice learning Zoom moderation. Also testing all links. Like I said earlier, test all links, making sure the agendas, making sure that applications. Okay, and how are you going to handle applications? If somebody wants to join and it's virtual, how are you going to handle that? Walk that through with your team so it's seamless and you've decided everybody's playing on the same page. Okay, if somebody wants to join, are you going to a breakout room with them? Are you sending a group of people? Are you sending one at a time? How are you doing this? So keep that, be ready for questions along the way. Also, I think we all know this, but it doesn't hurt to repeat it, that if this is a corporate climate, this is a corporate setting, we don't want to say the word club. What do we want to say? This is a test. Everybody chime in. What do we say? Leadership development program. You don't say club. Or else I'm calling Pat Johnson and she's going to get on you. Use the language. If this happens to be an event and a group that's in a corporate setting, be sure and use whatever lingo is appropriate for that company. Okay, let's talk agenda for just a second. And I know I'm going quick. I have to go quickly. The agenda, consider reordering the agenda just slightly, where you have your speeches, then evaluations, and one of the evaluations could be a round robin to involve the audience, and then you put table topics after that. And you may ask, well, why? Because you want to increase the levels of engagement with audience interaction. And you want to ease guests into taking a part in the table topic session. Does that make sense? So if we have a round robin, then that gives audience participation and calling on maybe a couple of guests to, what did you think about this? Is there something that you think could be better? What did they do really well? It gets a couple of them starting to talk, but as we know, table topics is where we can really get them to engage and talk to everybody. So that's why table topics comes after that. It's kind of like warming up. Length of time. I
Beth?
think this is, yeah.
Louise has her hand up.
Yeah, Louise, I'm sorry.
One of the things I found with the virtual one is that the advanced publicity needs to carry out that theme as well and carry it out even to the agenda part so that they know, okay, this is where I'm supposed to go. And if they see something, oh yeah, that my invitation had that on it.
That's true. Thank you, Louise. That's excellent. It's branding and marketing. So if you do have a theme or you have something, carry it through everything that you do. Now we have to be careful about not messing up the branding with Toastmasters logo. They don't like that. And then Karen's going to get an ugly phone call from headquarters. And I don't think she wants that. So, but yes, carry out your themes throughout all of your communication and your output in marketing. But I'm talking about length of time. What length of time do you all think is sufficient? What do you think is a good time that it doesn't drag, but it is enough for people? What is your thought? There's no right or wrong answer.
Beth, this is David.
Yeah,
I believe an hour and 15 minutes is ideal.
Okay. And why did you say the 15 on there?
It's what we do in my present club when we meet on Tuesday nights. And it has left adequate room, but it's not too long. And then I've got friends that are in a club 50 miles away and they're a morning club, 60 minutes, and they jam it all in and it's fast. And so I think even a club that does 1 hour regular meetings should do a 1 hour and 15-minute meeting for the open house with networking before and after.
You are absolutely, yay, I think so. There's no right or wrong answer. I think that there's more of an appropriate answer. And I think you're right, between an hour, 2 hours tops. And I would even shy away from 2 hours, but you need to make sure that you have the networking in. Now, if you are doing an hour 15, which I think is a perfect time personally, then, and you do have the opening time, 10, 12 minutes maybe, and closing time, and you want time for applications, questions and answers, things like that, then you're not going to pack it with 3 speeches, 3 evaluators, 10 table time, but you're just not going to do that. You've got to really be okay with paring down. And I've seen some where they just absolutely will not pare down. This is our normal meeting and we're having 52 people talk. And it's like, oh, please, people don't want to do that. They want to taste. An open house is a taste, is what it is. And talking quickly about the roles, obviously the president starts the meeting. and that makes sense, you know, to start it on a high note and briefly explain maybe the history and the foundation of Toastmasters, because that will lend credibility. And I don't know that I've ever heard anybody do that. I've never heard anybody do that. And yep, Deborah?
Well, since you brought that up, my early club, we've done open houses where we have done, TI has a good video about what is Toastmasters. Well done, and it's a short video. It's not too long, 7 minutes or so. So we will play that, and then we will have another speaker, one that isn't necessarily a professional and one that isn't a newbie, just, you know, middle of the road speaker to demonstrate basically, and then an evaluation. But that TI video I find very effective because it says very concisely and articulately what Toastmasters is all about without getting different loose interpretations by members. And it's just a nice, also shows a professional piece to it. So for the leadership and development part of it, or communication leadership, I just find that a nice touch to add to the open house.
Oh, Deborah, I think that's a great idea. And I don't know if you can get that quickly and stick it in the chat. I think that's even a better idea because it would look more polished. I think that's a fantastic idea. I'm going to add that to my notes. But if you can find it and put the link in the chat, I think that would be fantastic. But I think it's important to put a history and put a reason and how this came about in there. Did I see Alan?
Yeah. Beth, yeah, I just had a question, a follow-up question for Deborah. On that video, is it introduced at the beginning of your open house, or how do you integrate that into your program?
Yeah, I think we have an opening and we have introductions and a welcoming, and then we play we play the video, and then I think we move. It's been a year or two since we've done this. I'm not quite remembering, and but it segues in really nice. But there is some introductions ahead of time, and welcoming, and to give you an idea of what Toastmasters is about. We're going to show you this video type of thing.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because it sets a foundation on which everything else can rest and make sense. Louise?
One of the things I did with 2 open houses, I did one virtual and one hybrid, is we did an icebreaker at the first. And everyone had a chance to speak. And as the moderator, well, then I bounced back and forth between the people online and the people in person and ask them, what's on your bucket list? And amazing how many people responded to that and just were excited by it. Maybe the opportunity to see the other people that maybe they knew, maybe they didn't, but just sharing that information really made an interesting open house.
Okay, it's let's see, Deborah just shared it, and it's the Toastmasters Club Experience, that one? Is that the one, Deborah?
Yeah, and I think I was
Okay.
just remembering, it's about the club experience, but I think that basically, I can't remember if it gets into the history of Toastmasters, but in my mind, it shares enough about what Toastmasters is in the club within that. I'd have to review it to
Excellent.
see if I've totally misrepresented, but let's pretend I didn't.
Well, it's good to have as a resource regardless. So excellent. Thank you very much. Now, obviously, however you want to start it off, but it needs to be officially kicked off with a welcome and not just sliding into a start, but a definite start on how we're going to go through the time together. So that's good. And the Toastmaster of the day needs to be somebody who's experienced. Would you agree? I mean, somebody who's really good at just making it smooth as silk. And boy, I tell you what, I have one in one of my clubs that he is real. I don't know how he does it. He's just really super, super good. All right. And then speakers, we talked about, only have a couple, don't go bananas. And obviously having a newer member versus, and then maybe a more experienced member would work, so that it's not too intimidating for a new guest thinking that they can't be as good as, oh my gosh, I can't be that good. And then evaluators, oh my gosh, okay. I learned this one the hard way. We had an evaluator. This was early on in my Toastmasters career. There was an open house and we had guests, and somebody was actually a new member and was giving his first speech. And actually this wasn't an open house, it was a regular meeting, but giving his first speech, and who was assigned the evaluation for him was brutal. So make sure that we talk to our evaluators. The point is not to scare off our guests, right? Please be effective, but don't be harsh. And there's a fine line in there. And then I think it'd be a good idea to make sure that the evaluator isn't someone who regurgitates the speech. That drives me nuts. That's not an evaluation. It's not rewriting the speech. Well, maybe it would have been better if you said da da da. That's not an evaluation. Evaluation is how you put it together and how you presented it, and your body language and your voice and da 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 da. We know all that, right? I cannot stand it when somebody goes, well, I loved it when you talked about the puppies. And that reminds me when I had a puppy when I was a kid. That has nothing to do with the speech. So make sure that your evaluator is reflecting what truly that role is. It's hard. And then that's where we could also slide into some of the round robin and engaging our guests. And that's, the energy, and it's the engagement and the back and forth, to where that they will see that, oh, I talked in front of people and I live to tell about it, right? So that would work. Okay, so here we go. So what happens if a guest wants to join? First of all, you do a private happy dance, right? And then ahead of time, you will have decided how you're going to take their payments. If in person, that's pretty obvious. However, who's going to do it? Where does the guest go? Again, it's, see Mike and Julie over at this table over here. Mike and Julie, wave. Okay, so that people, because remember, our guests don't know who Mike and Julie are. Mike and Julie over here. Okay, wave, go over there. And if it's online, then decide if you're going to do the breakout rooms or, what have you. And then the people who are accepting payments, which might be Mike and Julie, or it might be somebody else, make sure that they know how to prorate a year. Make sure that they know that it's not 6 months if their person is joining in February, right? And, oh, here's the thing too. If somebody comes, let's just say they want to join in February, when is dues renewal? What, 2 months later, right? Do not allow that person to say, oh, I'll just take 2 months and then we'll, no. What's the minimum we're going to ask for? That's it. This or this, I don't care how you do it, Deborah. 8 months is and you don't even tell them. They don't know. They don't care. Just tell me what I'm paying, right? So we're going to get you signed all the way up through September. That's all the way through September. That's when everybody else will renew. So that's it, right? Oh, it just drove me nuts when I found out that somebody was going, oh, we'll only take a month. It's just till next month. And oh no, as an opportunity you just missed, right? So make sure that everybody understands where you're going with it and how you want it done. Same thing with, hybrid. You got to make sure people in the room, people online. So that's a juggling act that has to be just kind of thought through. So I think that we've probably all done this. We've seen it done well. So let's emulate what's been done well. We've seen it done not so well. And so let's have that list of, I'm not doing it that way. And then tomorrow night, we're going to talk about how to close the sale. Once you get everybody in there and you've kind of done the internal happy dance, how are we going to close the sale to get that happy dance happening for everybody? We tend to forget to ask. So, all right, let me give you some extras, some little extras over here. Mary had mentioned last night the Club Success Series, and I'm sure most of us have been around a while and have probably heard of that or seen it, but it is an excellent resource. So there is the download. You can go there and download it. Also, I have all these digital templates from District 91 in the UK South. And these are pretty cool. So just some starting ideas, use them, don't use them, change it as you need to change it, but get going on theming out your next open house. And I want to hear about how many people you've got signed on. I'm ready. All right, Miss Karen. I love open houses. They're fun.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for Beth? Anything to
I know I
share?
went through
Any
a
last
lot
comments?
fast. There's a quiz. Everybody ready for the
Beth?
quiz?
Beth is going to be sweating if no one asks a question. She said that's a good sign when we ask questions.
It is a good
Yes.
sign when you ask questions, but I think I'm preaching to the choir here. I think you all have done this at least once or twice and are probably seasoned Toastmasters. Miss Mary.
We have this ongoing debate every time any of my clubs have an open house. Do we put up a seasoned speaker or do we put up a less skilled speaker so people can get a sense of how you can speak in spite of being nervous?
Mm-hmm.
How about one each?
Yeah.
Well, we find too many speakers tend to.
But that's two.
I know.
Somebody new and then somebody seasoned.
But but we don't have an hour 15 minutes. At least this was a work club, and so lots of times we only had an hour.
Okay, well then do it. Yeah, do a short. Just do one.
Do shorter.
Yeah, just do one, or they don't do 5 to 7s. They do
Right.
3 to
3
4.
to 5s.
So we
3 to 4,
usually brought in
yeah.
food and gave people time to kind of greet. It was a really truncated meeting.
Oh yeah, we've done that before. Yeah, where it's just like only it's a real taste. It's not even a full teaspoon. It's like a half a teaspoon. You get one and one and one, and then there you go. You know, so but that you got to do what you've got to do. But Brittany, thank you for your nice comment over there. I see you. You can't hide. I see you.
I was gonna mention to Mary, because I hear the question. It's like, do you put in your best speaker to be that person, or do you put in somebody who's not your best speaker but a good speaker? And it's kind of a dichotomy because sometimes people are coming to really improve their game. They want to be that person that's being, they want to get it into a paid gig or something. They really have high sights. And other people are just wanting to figure out how to not cry while standing up in front of people.
Exactly. Well, one of the testimonials could be, because I know what you're saying. And if you had somebody who was not real polished, how are you going to, what are you going to say? Well, this is Hank, and Hank is not that good, but he's getting better. You should have seen him. He couldn't say his name and stand up there for 20 seconds without just fidgeting around. But now, it's like, so what, what are you going to do? Right. But that's
If you
a
have
tough
to have
one.
a choice, put in your best evaluator, one that can really motivate them. Doesn't matter whether you've got an exceptional speaker or a brand new speaker. That evaluator is going to make the meeting. Because they're going to see.
That's true. That's why it can't be, well, that remind me when I had a puppy when I was a kid. No.
Yeah.
I just want that drives me nuts. So
yeah, Louise makes a good point, because we've all seen the evaluator. Well, yeah, you had a great hairdo and I like the color of your shirt, and gosh, can't wait to hear you speak again.
Gee, thanks. I like the color of my shirt. That's why I'm flipping wearing it. It's like
Had nothing to do with the speech, it was like, yeah, so.
Well,
But-
and then the close too, it needs to be someone really summing up the benefits. And I'll talk more about that tomorrow night. And I think we all know that, but it's a, you know, it's a dance, and I think it's a challenge. Every time we go out and do an open house, it's almost like you know, it's a boxing match, right? Okay, I'm gonna get you, and you're gonna get me. No, you can't get me because I'm already I'm dodging and weaving, right? And I just think it's just fun, and I hope that you all enjoy. You know, some people think it's a burden and they don't like it. Well, fine, don't get on the committee. That's not for you. You know, but I think they're fun.
Beth, do you have any tips for clubs that are smaller, say in the 6 to 8 member range, on how to pull off an effective
Pull in
house?
other clubs. Absolutely. Yep. Pull in ringers. And the guests don't need to know.
Mhm.
You know, it's little, I think sometimes we share too much with guests, and it's almost like I don't want to know how to build a watch. I just want to know what time it is. You know, that's our guess. We need to think of it that way. Don't give me all the details and stuff. I'm not ready for that yet. I can't process that. I just am trying to figure out how to write the check. Right. And when to show up, and do I bring something? So I think if we don't make it complicated, it's, you know, it's the KISS method, right? You know, keep it as simple as possible and as easy for people. That's why we only tell them one thing at a time. Go see Mike and Julie. Come over here with this. We'd love for you to come back, you know, whatever, that kind of thing.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
Who's teaching tomorrow?
Tomorrow's closing. Moi, because Mary can't be. Shh. I heard some growling going on right there. Because Mary can't be here with me, so I'm playing all by myself.
Excellent.
I'm in the
Thank you.
sandbox all by myself.
All right,
David?
David.
I have a conflict and cannot attend tomorrow. Who do I connect with to get the recorded version of tomorrow's session? Okay, Karen, you got it.
Some
Super.
gal named Karen. I don't know who, just somebody. She keeps hanging around all year long. You know, she's just
Well,
always there, you know.
I just want to say I'm enjoying this, and I'm, you know, I'm sure you are too. I'm whatever. I wish more people would show up to take advantage of this. And, you know, I've been in a while, and, you know, it's not like I haven't heard how to build membership and stuff before. It's just it's good inspiration, it's good reminders, it's good muscle memory building to stuff to do this. And so I try and get some more people to come.
Well, I appreciate all of you being here.
And
I
I'd
know
like to
it's
give,
not. Oh, go ahead, Karen.
I was going to say, we need to give a special shout out to Twin Rivers Toastmasters. The entire club is having a viewing party of us, shared through Hans Hansen's video.
You didn't tell me that.
Oh,
They
right.
just shared that
Twin
with us, so that's
Hey,
wonderful.
Yeah.
Hello. I want to know how many people are in there, and I want to know if anybody's drinking an adult beverage. What I want to know. Okay. Well, it's been my pleasure. I really appreciate y'all being here.
Thank you,
Right.
Beth.
Yeah, thank you, Beth.
Welcome.
Good
Hope I
point.
see most of you tomorrow night. Bring
All right.
friends.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. And this is the end of the video.